Hello everyone, my name is Manuel Mesa and I will be your IELTS tutor for today. So today we're going to start our IELTS preparation course, and so we're going to learn about the main aspects of the IELTS test, okay? Are you ready? Let's go. All right, so you may be wondering, what is IELTS? Well, IELTS stands for International English Language Testing System, okay? And it's an international exam that is accepted around the world as evidence of proficiency in the English language. And it evaluates four skills: reading, writing, listening, and speaking, all right? That's the first thing that you should know about the IELTS. Good. Let's continue. Now, something else that you should know about the IELTS is there exists two types of IELTS, okay? The academic IELTS and the general training IELTS, okay? So now we're gonna look at the differences between these two. Regarding the types of IELTS, what you need to know is that if you are the kind of a student who wants to enter undergraduate or postgraduate studies in an English-speaking country, then you have to take that academic IELTS test, okay? And on the other hand, if you're just someone who wants to migrate or just want to get some work experience in countries like the UK, New Zealand, Canada, and other European countries where English is the main language, then you must take the general training IELTS, okay? So those are the difference. And usually these tests are not interchangeable, okay? Because usually the general training exam is easier than academic one, okay? So the academic IELTS is actually much harder, 3 times harder than the general training one, okay? That's what you should know. Okay, so now we can see in this slide that the academic IELTS is the one that is used for higher education and professional registration. So yeah, like we just mentioned, it's for students who wants to enter in the graduate or postgraduate study in an English-speaking country, okay? And the general training is for people that want to migrate to Australia, to Canada, New Zealand, and the UK, all right? And also for training programs or for work, okay? So it tests basic survival skills, okay? And what are the differences and what are the similarities? Well, the similarities are that in the listening and the speaking tests, they are the same, okay? There are no changes in that. There are no differences. And the difference are that the writing and reading tests are very different, okay? Usually the reading tests and the writing tests for an academic IELTS are much harder, okay? Now, as previously mentioned, the IELTS exam assesses 4 English skills, okay, which are reading, writing, listening, and speaking, all right? So these are the 4 skills that you will be tested in the IELTS exam, specifically the academic exam, okay? We are gonna focus on that one for now. Now, regarding what is assessed on the academic reading test, what you should know is that you are asked 40 comprehension questions and you have 1 hour to complete the whole test. And you don't really have to be especially in some field in order for you to answer these questions, okay? So these are pretty easy as long as you're able to analyze long text in English, okay? And these texts include descriptive, factual, analytical, and discursive text, okay? And these texts can be sourced from authentic journal, magazines, newspapers, and books, okay? Now, regarding the academic writing test, this one is also 60 minutes long, and you have to complete 2 tasks, okay? On task 1, you are asked to describe, summarize, or explain a table, graph, chart, or diagram, and you're also gonna describe a process, okay? You got 20 minutes for that. And for task number 2, you are asked to write an essay, okay? So don't worry too much about these tasks. They are pretty easy once you have gotten enough practice. So don't feel afraid of taking the writing test, okay? It's just a test, and if you prepare for it, you will be able to score well in it, okay? Now, regarding the academic writing test, this test is also 60 minutes long, and you have to complete 2 tasks. Task number 1 is basically you have to describe or summarize a chart, and you have to describe a process, and you got 20 minutes for that. And for task number 2, you just need to write an essay in response to an argument, point of view, or problem, and you got 40 minutes to complete this essay, okay? To write this essay. And you don't really have to worry too much about this writing task, and now they sound very challenging, but once you practice a lot and you really prepare for this writing test, you will see how easy it becomes to write this kind of task, okay? So you don't have to worry about anything. You just have to prepare well, practice a lot, and you will see that it will become natural to you to write this kind of task in the future, okay? And so for when you're touching the official test, this will be a piece of cake, okay? So don't worry, I'm gonna help you prepare for this. Now, for the listening test, what you should know is that 30 minutes long and consists of full recorded text, okay? And this text may be monologues or conversations with a range of different native English speakers. So you must be prepared to listen to many different accents, okay? And based on what you listen to, you're gonna answer 40 comprehension questions, okay? So it's pretty simple, really straightforward. So if you're someone who has a very good listening skills, you're gonna pretty much ace this test. It's probably the easiest test out of the all sections, okay? Perfect. Now, we're going to talk about a test that is probably one of the hardest for most students who are preparing for the IELTS, okay? So we are talking about the speaking test. Now, the speaking test is the same for both the academic and general training students, but the problem with this is that unlike the TOEFL, where you just record your answers on a computer, here you are having an interview, okay, with an actual examiner. And this could be very hard for people who have no experience with job interview or any other kind of interview for scholarships or whatever. And all you need to know is that if you get familiar with the content of this interview, then it's very easy to ace it, okay? So all you need to know is that it's divided into three parts. And we have this speaking part one, where you will be asked questions on familiar topics, such as family, interest, work, or study, all right? And for speaking part two, you're basically giving a booklet or a card containing a topic, okay? So you're gonna be given 1 minute to prepare, and then you have to answer some questions based on what they ask you on the card, and you have to speak for 2 minutes, and then they're probably gonna ask you some more questions, but that's basically part two, okay? So pretty simple. First, just some personal questions, and part two, you're giving a card, a cue card, and you are gonna answer some questions, and you have to speak a lot for 2 minutes, okay? And probably answer some questions if the examiner asks you something else. Okay, that's for part one and part two. Now, for part three, it's actually pretty similar. The examiner just asks you more questions related to the topic of part two. Okay, so it's just a way to have an opportunity to really understand what you think about this topic. Okay, to talk about more abstract issues and ideas. And usually, this test only takes around 11 minutes to 15 minutes. So it's pretty short. Okay. Now, let's talk about the scoring of the IELTS, okay? Because I believe that many people are not used to this type of scoring. So they get a little bit confused at what the band score really means, okay? So what you should know is that the band scores go from 1, which is the lowest score, and 9, which is the highest score that you can get. And you're going to have a band score for each skill. So one band score for reading, one band score for listening, one for speaking, and one for writing. Okay, and you're also going to have an overall band score, which is basically what you truly care about. Okay, and here are the descriptors for each band from 1 to 9. Okay, so as we can see here, if you are band 1, basically you are a known user. All right, so a known user is not good, definitely. What you should really care about is band 6 to 9. Okay, the other bands, we are not going to care about them because, of course, you don't want to just get any score. Okay, you don't just want to get any band, because university will ask you for a score band 6 upwards. Okay, so from band 6, you're a competent user, and if you, of course, you get a band 9 score, then you're an expert user. Okay, so your target score should be between band 6 to band 9. Okay, we don't really care about the others. The others are not good. You're not gonna be able to use your IELTS score for anything if you get below 6. Now let's talk about the differences between the IELTS and the TOEFL, okay? So what you should know is that the IELTS is actually shorter than the TOEFL. The TOEFL is 4 hours long, while the IELTS is 2 hours and 40 minutes long, okay? So for people that don't like staying still for a long time in an exam, then you are in good luck, okay? So you should take the IELTS. Otherwise, if you are the kind of person who doesn't mind spending 4 hours in a test, probably the TOEFL will be for you, okay? Regarding the scoring, as we said before, the IELTS has a span score from 0 to 9, and the TOEFL has a score from 0 to 120. Okay, so very different scoring. We should not be focusing on this. Okay, this is just a matter. I'm just showing you this so that you can have an insight on what the differences between these tests are. Okay, so the listening in the IELTS is 30 minutes, and for the TOEFL is 60 minutes. Okay, so twice the amount of time. For the writing, what you should know is that IELTS usually it's on a written test. This may change right now due to the coronavirus because they just want to implement an online IELTS, just like the TOEFL ABT, so that many more people can take this test. So probably the writing could change a little bit. Probably will not be on paper anymore. It will be on a computer, just like in the TOEFL. But we will have to see. And of course, the TOEFL one is done. You have to type on a keyboard. All right. And for the reading, there is a wide range of question type, academic paper and non-academic. And usually for the TOEFL, you have multiple choice only, okay, and only academic text. Okay, so yeah, in some cases, the TOEFL is easier. Okay, and for speaking, of course, we're gonna be talking about that a little bit further on. But as I told you before, the TOEFL, you have to record your answers on the computer, and on the IELTS, there is an actual examiner. But like I believe that right now, due to the coronavirus, this may change. Okay, I'm not really quite sure how it will be done, but it could also be done like on a computer, but probably like you're gonna have like a meeting in Skype or Zoom meeting probably, where you're gonna have to have your examiner face to face online. Okay, just like if you're taking an online class. Okay, but I believe the content of the test will be the same. Now, what you should know about the scoring is that if you want to be, for example, C1 level, you have to get at least a score of 7 on the IELTS or 94 to 101 on the TOEFL. Okay, this is usually a very good score for people that truly want to be proficient in the English language. Okay, so below that, I don't think it's really worth it. Those scores are not really good. Okay, if you want to enter a good university, or you want to, in the case you want to live in another country, you have to get a band score of over 7, which is the same as over 90 on the TOEFL ABT. Okay, so this is just a chart that has all the several levels, which are the levels of comparison between the languages. Okay, and here we have also the skills. C2 is mastery, C1 is effective operational proficiency, B2 advantage, upper intermediate, and we also have all the other levels we don't really care about right now. Okay, perfect. So let's move on. Now, what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna tell you about some keys to obtain high scores on the IELTS. Okay, very high band scores. First off is you should increase your general knowledge of English. Okay, you should immerse yourself in English. Change your language in the phone to English. Watch YouTube videos in English. Everything you do has to be in English in order to immerse yourself in English language. Okay, that's my first advice for you. Second advice, you have to make the most of your preparation time. Okay. The reason why most students fail this test is because they don't prepare at all, or they prepare like at the last minute. You're not gonna do that. Okay. I'm gonna help you prepare for this exam. Third, you should choose your test day carefully, okay? And when I say carefully, is because if you fail to attend the test center for the day of the test, basically they're not gonna give you a refund, okay? You're gonna lose all your money. Okay, so you have to make sure that you are available on that day. And key 4 is to be familiar with the format and directions, okay? So if you are familiar with the task itself, then you will not need to be nervous about it, okay? Because the types of the questions never change. The content changes, but not the type of question. So if you memorize all the type of questions and you're prepared for every single type of question there is in the exam, well, you're gonna score high, okay? And you have to use time wisely. As I said, you have a time limit for this test, which is 2 hours and 45 minutes long, and you need to control your test anxiety, okay? So test anxiety is one of the reasons why many students fail this test as well, okay? So the first one is lack of preparation, and second, test anxiety. And of course, if you prepare really well and you really are sure about that you're familiar about the content of the test itself, then you should not be nervous or you should not be anxious, okay? And 7, you should learn by taking practice tests and official IELTS exams, okay? Past exams, so that you really can make sure that you understand the test itself. Okay, so those are the keys to obtain high scores on the IELTS. Very simple. Okay. Now, if you want to deal with test anxiety, what you should do is that you should approach the exam with confidence, okay? So use whatever strategies you know, okay? This is up to everyone. Everyone has a special way to control their anxiety, okay? Some examples could be to personalize success. You should visualize, you should use logic, you should talk to yourself, practice, all right? And you should also view the exam as an opportunity to show how much you studied and to receive a reward for studying, for all the studying you have done, okay? So you have to be prepared, okay? If you want to deal with test anxiety, you have to be prepared for the test. You should learn all your material and organize your material so you can really memorize everything you have to learn about the test, and so that you know which type of questions goes in which section, so that you don't get confused with the type of question that appear in the reading section or the type of question that appear in the listening sections. You don't have to be confused about that, okay? So you have to be very, very careful, very organized with all the materials that you have. And yes, do not just cram before the test. Cramming or starting at the last minute is the worst thing that you can do, okay? And you should strive for a relaxed state of concentration, okay? So of course, if you have prepared very well, then everything will go well, okay? You have nothing to worry about. Okay, some strategies to deal with test anxiety as well are to avoid speaking with students that haven't prepared because they are gonna make you nervous. You have to sleep, okay? I cannot emphasize enough how important sleep is before a test, okay? Most of my students don't sleep because they think that sleeping is a waste of time or that they don't really have enough time to study, so they just stay up late before the test. And I believe that this is something that you should avoid as much as you can. Okay, I know you have very busy lives. You have probably a job. You're studying at a current university or you're studying in high school. I know you're a very busy person. Okay, but try to sleep at least for this day. That's why you should choose your test date carefully. Okay, try to choose a date where you will not have much to do the day before, and don't go to the exam with an empty stomach. Okay, be sure to eat a healthy breakfast. Okay, no candy, no chocolate. Try to eat fresh fruit, vegetables, cereals, no fried food, no junk food, and try to avoid high sugar content foods such as candy. Okay, because they are probably gonna give you a lot of energy, but they can also give you a lot of anxiety, and later on you're just gonna crash, and your energy levels are gonna be very low. Okay, so avoid that. Okay, and some relaxation techniques, if you are like able to control your anxiety, you should know some of these, okay? So the first one is relax, you are in control, there is nothing to worry about, okay? You have prepared, you are in control of this. Take it slow and deep breaths. Take it slow and deep breaths, okay? This usually helps a lot, okay? And don't think about the fear. There's nothing you have to fear in this test. You already have taking a preparation course for this, okay? So it should be pretty easy for you. And you have to expect some anxiety, of course, but that's just normal, okay? Just use your anxiety as a way to motivate yourself to finish the exam, okay? So that you just don't run away from the exam. And realize that being anxious is mostly a habit that we have because we don't really prepare for a test. So in this case, what you have to do is prepare thoroughly, and then this will disappear. Okay, so yeah, those are my techniques for relaxation. All right, everyone. So I believe that will be it for today. I don't want to take much more time from you. I know you lead very busy lives, so we're gonna close up with this. Okay. I hope that you found this video helpful and you could learn a little bit more about the IELTS test and the structure and some strategies to keep your anxiety under control. And we're gonna be learning much more about the IELTS test in the following videos. Okay. So probably what we're gonna learn later on will be a little bit about speaking. Okay. So that will be it for today. Thank you very much for your time and see you next time. Bye bye.